Okay, there we go. Good evening. Tonight we counted 24 days. Three weeks and 3 days. So anyway, Hashem, Hashem, Gewalt. Let's bring up the supremacists, bring up the text and take it from there. All right, all right. So here comes, the clever one and his pal get themselves embroiled with some altercations of the first time in the clever son's life. He's looking for judgment. Yes, he's looking for judgment as he sees it. And so let's just read what is going on here and talk about it some more. It says, immediately the Prime Minister started to say to him, "See my simplicity and how much greatness it has brought me, and what your cleverness has brought you." That in and on itself should have been already a good enough proof for the clever one. He could have stopped and say, whoa, I'm the one voted in high school future United States president, or the most likely to succeed. And the simple one was, just an excuse for failure. And look what's going on. But that doesn't stop him. The clever one spoke up and said, "Since you're my friend, the simple one, we can speak about this later." In other words, it's really immaterial. He is into his own thing. Talk about this a little bit later. Now you should grant me justice for them having hit me. So for what? He asked him. The simple one asked him. Because I spoke against the master of the name, he replied. He's a fraud and a big phony. He doesn't know if I'm Adam, but he already made up his mind. The simple Prime Minister spoke up and said, "You're still trapped in your cleverness. Look, you said you could easily achieve my level, but I could not come to yours. See that I have already come to yours, but you have still not come to mine. And I see that it is more difficult for you to come to my simplicity." In other words, the simple one still talks to him. But take a look at what's going on. But still, since he was previously familiar with him in his time of greatness, he ordered, in other words, the simple one ordered that he, the clever one, be given garments to wear. And he requested that he eat with him. While they were eating, they began to speak together, and the clever one tried to prove his theory that the king doesn't exist. The simple Prime Minister scolded him, "But I have myself seen the king." In other words, until now, his proof was whoever it is that he asked, the clever one, whoever it is the clever one asked, "Who are you serving?" He said, "The king." He said, "Have you ever seen him?" He said, "No." "Ah, see, That's the proof there's no king. Now he says to the simple one, he said, but I myself have seen the king. So the clever one takes it 1 degree higher. Are you really sure that it was the king? Asked the clever one scornfully. Can you confirm that he, his father, and his grandfather were kings? And where do you know that he is the king? People told you that he was the king. They deceived you with lies. Now he comes up, we see, and we'll talk about it a bit more. He comes up with his own theories. This says who? Who says? When you says who says, you kill everything. You lose all hope. Until now, the proof was that you haven't seen him. Now that you've seen him, how do you know that he's the king? And the truth is that there's a point to what the clever one is saying, because you never can fully tell anything. I mean, even in Mamad HaSinai, when everybody saw Hashem with their own eyes, the Yetzer Hara can come to say, how do you know? Maybe you were just dreaming. Maybe somebody slipped some kind of drug into your drink and you just fantasized. How do you know? But that's not the point. The point is that you don't need to know anything for certain. You just need to know enough to accept that this is a fact. There is no way to know Hashem. But we have proof enough from everything that goes around us to know that there's a king and he runs the world. Whatever problems we have problems. Okay. Nobody died from problems. So around the world, you can have kashrus, no problem. We simply need to have enough ground with which to stand on. And the beginning of everything is that you are open to possibilities. But we see here that the clever one, no matter how many proofs you give him, or what kind of proofs you give him, his mind is made up. You're not going to change his mind with facts. So the Simon became very, very angry over this matter of the denial of the king. That's the first time that the simple one loses his temper. We'll talk a little bit about this whole dinner thing a bit later. Meanwhile, someone came, he says, the Azazel, the devil, has sent for you. Both of them. The simple one trembled very, very much. He ran and told his wife with great fear about whom had sent for him. His wife advised him to send for the minister of the name, for the master of the name. And he sent for him, and the master of the name came and gave him protective amulets, saying that he should not be afraid at all now. And he, in other words, the simple one, had great faith in this. The clever one and the simple one sat together again. And the clever one asked him, why are you so afraid? So he says, because of who sent for us. So he, in other words, the clever one, laughed at him. Do you believe that there is a devil? Okay, the simple one replies. Then who sent for us? The clever one spoke up and said, "Surely it was my brother who wanted to frighten me, and he sent me this hoax." What is he talking about? He doesn't even have a brother. Who is he telling it to? He's telling it to the simple one who knows him since childhood. But the clever one believes his own lies to such a degree that he already makes up lies as he goes along and takes them as truth. You start making up things. He says, "If so," says the simple one, "how did he get past the guards?" The simple one asked. "Well, surely he bribed them," he replied. "And they lied and deceived, and they said they didn't see him." We haven't found yet anywhere that it says they didn't see him. Meanwhile, someone again came and said as before, "The devil has sent for them." And this time the simple one did not tremble, nor did he have any fear at all, owing to the protection of the master of the name. And he spoke up and said to the clever one, "No, now what do you say?" "So I'll let you know," the clever one said, "that I have a brother who is angry with me, and he created this hoax in order to frighten me. And he got up and asked the one who had come for them, 'What did the one who sent for us look like? What does his face and hair look like?' etc." Remember, until now he said they just lied and deceived you. They said they haven't seen anyone. Now he's saying, "I have a brother," and he asked, "How did this devil or whatever look like?" So he told him, that person said he looked a certain way. And the clever one spoke up and said, "See, that is the way my brother looks." This is just like Goyim and Arabs are like any kind. It's like by them, it's reality always fits their lies. It's like when a terrorist, Lo Aleinu, killed someone, and the police shoot the terrorist. So the newspapers in England say a Palestinian killed in a terror attack that killed one. When there's a terror attack and a Palestinian doesn't get killed, say 2 dead in a terror attack, in an attack in Israel. That's what they say. There's a terrorist that murdered people. Yeah, but that doesn't fit the narrative. So and the thing is that, how come they say that? Don't they know that it's a lie? The answer is, no, they don't. They are so steeped in a lie that for them becomes the truth. So the simple one said, "Would you go with him? Are you going to go with the messenger?" "Yes, but just give me some soldiers to be my bodyguard so he doesn't bother me." And the simple one, gave him bodyguards, and the 2 clever ones, in other words, the clever one and his buddy, went with the men who had come for them. The soldiers returned, and the simple prime minister asked them, "Where are the clever ones?" And they replied they did not know, and that they all disappeared, where they all disappeared to. Now it's the first time that we see that you can't see anyone. The one who told the clever ones what this devil looks like deceived him. Nobody can see it. says it all disappeared. We don't know where. And the devil seized these clever ones and brought them into mud and clay. And the mud was thick and sticky like glue. And you could not move themselves at all from the mud. And the clever one cried out to the ones who were afflicting them, that is, the devil and his people, "Wicked ones, why are you tormenting us? Is there such a thing in the world as the devil? You wicked ones are torturing us for no reason." For these clever ones still did not believe in the devil. They merely thought that wicked people were torturing them. And the clever ones were stuck in the mud and clay. They would speculate, what is this? These are just reckless men who we had quarreled with once, and now they're torturing us. And they were tormented there with tremendous afflictions for many years. It's not the end of the Maisa, but let's take it here. The Maisa that we are talking about, the story that we are talking about, is a story about a state of mind. Our state of mind is our reality. Part of the state of mind is, nature. Part of it is nurture. But after everything is said and done, we have the power to decide what it is that we want to believe and what it is that is going to be the clear indicator and the guiding light of our lives. Now, Hashem gives each and every one of us the basic starting points that we need in order to accomplish the rectification of our neshama. We have this history. We've gone through various things. We are hurt. We misunderstand. We misinterpret. We build these kind of self-images of ourselves. We construct these avatars such as we assume that the world would accept and appreciate and hold us in high esteem. Basically, we either, it's fight or flight. Either we fight with the surroundings or I run away from them. And each and every one of us is exactly who he needs to be. To this equation we bring in the emunah, the tmimus. This is, okay, what is the truth? There's a melech, there's a king, he runs the world, he's the one that calls the shots. He tells me what he wants me to do through Moshe Rabbeinu and all his servants, the Nevi'im. And I believe them. with total simplicity and following them, I'm always confronted with the conflicts between my basic personality, who I am, what I bring to the table, who I became, who my history made me, everything, vis-a-vis my emunah, and how I relate to the challenges is building me a new narrative. The easiest thing to deal with is a problem that you realize that it's a problem. Whether you can solve it or cannot solve it, or you cannot solve it yet, or whether you're just making a dent in it, or whether you're banging your head against the wall, it doesn't matter. As long as you know that there's a problem, and you admit to the problem, and you realize that the problem is me, you are doing what it is that you need to do. You're doing what it is that you always needed to do. You are rectifying your neshama and who you are and who you're meant to be. The hardest thing, in fact, it's impossible to overcome, is if I'm in a state of denial. And I refuse to admit that I have a problem. Not only won't I ever solve the problem, I may not even be able to solve the problem if I do realize that it's my fault, that I'm the problem. But that's not the issue. If I am in denial that I'm the problem, two things happen. First of all, I miss out on my life's mission. I'm created to confront the problems that are facing me, facing who I am. If I don't do that, I'm basically wasting my lifetime. And secondly, even in this world, you keep on running into problems and you're running into the mud further and deeper. It becomes like clay, like glue. You can't move. And you're being tortured. And you don't realize that the devil is simply reality reacting to what you have insisted to make of yourself. They say that Gan Eden and Gehenna are like separated by a hairbreadth. Meaning that Olam Haba, everything is open. The truth is open. If I have kidded myself, chas v'chalila, throughout my entire life, I encounter lo aleinu Gehenna. And if I have gone with emunah pshuta throughout my entire life, when the truth is finally revealed to me, this is Gan Eden, it's the same thing. You know, if my hand is like this and the other hand goes like this, Or if I go like this. If I go like this, you say that I have hit myself? I mean, is that a punishment? Hurts. Is that a punishment? I did it to myself. If I go and I caress my hand, no, is that a schar? I did it to myself. The thing is that punishment, schar va'onesh, are what I do to myself. The only thing that happens when a person leaves this world is he's confronted with what he's been doing all the time. But the scariest thing here is that the two clever ones, even in the Gehenna, refuse to admit that this is what it is. The illusion is so strong that it continues, and that they're suffering horribly, abominably. But they have their mind made up. Hashem Yeracham, in Olam Haba, there is a mitzvah called Eichel Atmuras. It's a reality that the Rabbeinu, is telling here, where a person doesn't even know that he passed away. He doesn't realize. He thinks that he's just continuing on the same road, standing there outside, the Prime Minister's office in Balfour and protesting against Bibi Netanyahu. When Bibi Netanyahu is no longer the Prime Minister and is no longer Balfour, whatever it is, but they keep on keeping on. There's a story about a grandfather that went with his grandchild to the supermarket, and the kid threw a tantrum when they were one of the aisles. So the grandfather said, "Moshe will soon be home." They went on there standing in line, and the kid, plops on the floor, banging on the floor, just whining and crying, and the grandfather says, "Moshe, don't worry, we'll be home soon." And when they finally get to the cashier, the child smashes the display with chocolate. They have these chocolate eggs, these kinder, and the child smashes it. So the grandfather says, "Moshe, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'll pay for it. We'll soon be home." And he pays. And one of the people standing online is like, "Whoa, I can't believe how stoic this guy is. What kind of patience? He has a patience of an angel. I have to talk to him." So this guy pays quickly and runs after this guy, the grandfather, and says, you gotta tell me, how do you do this? How do you have so much patience no matter what tantrums your grandson was throwing? You said, "Don't worry, Moshe, we'll soon be home." So the grandfather said, "He's not Moshe. My grandson is not Moshe. His name is Arthur. I'm Moshe." Whenever I went, I says, "Moshe will soon be home." It's not about somebody else. It's not he's not the problem. I am the problem. When I know that I'm the problem, even the problem itself is the solution. Needless to say that it's almost 50%, solved in and by itself. When you identify what the problem is, it's 50% corrected. But if you don't realize that if I don't realize that I'm the problem, and I won't even realize what is tormenting me. Why is this devil? Why are you this wicked people? Why are you doing this? To admit that there's a devil, that means to admit that I am wrong. So no, it's just people that I argued with, whatever it is, has nothing to do with it. We need to talk a little bit more about why it is that the Tam also had to go through this scare. Why did the Azazel, the devil, call him also? The reason is that, yes, he wanted to help his friend. But the first thing that he should have done, he should have judged him. He should have told him, because there is a chance that his friend would know. My friend that loves me, judges me, maybe I did something wrong. The very fact alone that he listens to the clever one is already a pgam. One of the things, it's already a blemish. One of the things that has always been known in Breslov throughout the generations. And Shlomo Melech says, don't admonish the joker, lest he hate you, will despise you, whatever. Don't get into an argument with a fool. The Breslov Hasidim throughout the generations always, when they were confronted with people that had all kind of kashas on Yiddishkeit, and Hashem Yisbarach, on tzaddikim, they always said, you want to hear what I have to say, I'm willing to tell you. But I don't want to hear what you have to say. I'm not interested. I'm not here to debate with you. Rabbeinu says, don't debate with the Yetzer Hara. A debate with Yetzer Hara causes the Tam also to be susceptible to fear. He runs to his wife, that's the Emunah, that's the Tefillah. The suggestion of the Emunah Tefillah is call for the Baal Shem, call for the Tzaddik. Once the Tzaddik gives him a tikkun, fine, he's back to his Tmimes, he's no longer afraid. And look how many twists and turns and self-deceits the clever one is going through just to maintain his posture. I'll never forget, I heard this radio interview with a guy, he died since then. His name was Yossi Sarid. He was a member of parliament, he was a head of Meretz, and was a big adversary of Yiddishkeit, like in every generation. And he actually was on the radio, and he was being interviewed, and he told the guy who interviewed him, that, you know, we have this league of hypochondriacs, and we were, you know, people are worried about their health, and we decided to vote for chairman. And I told him, says, you know, let us tell what, you know, each one, his biggest fear, whatever it is. And he said, and I won first place. He says, what was it? He said, I died. And the guy said, what? He says, yeah. I was in a car with my wife, and I died. I remember, and my wife brought me to the hospital, and she said, I brought Yossi Sarid, and, and I saw myself, whatever it is, I saw myself, I saw my family, I saw the doctors. So the guy who interviewed him, was also a Fry guy, was incredulous. He says, this is totally unbelievable. So Yossi Sarid say, why is this unbelievable? He said, if I would have heard this from anyone else, I mean, this guy was open up because he said, if I would anybody, I would never ever have believed it. Yossi Said could not understand the significance of what was going on. He said it wasn't a religious experience at all. What's it got to do with anything? You don't know what stage it was. You're connected to your body, but you just gave a positive 100% proof that there is an existence to a person. There's life after death, period. When, how, whatever it is, what stage it doesn't matter, but one thing is for sure. You recognize that you died. That you're no longer in this world. There's existence. It's not just you close your eyes and then there's nothing. So you know what he answered? He says, but that's against my point of view. It takes being stupid with a capital too, doesn't it? You see? The clever one. To the devil's face. There's no such thing as devil. Hashem Yerachim. Bezat Hashem should help us. We will see what the tikkun is last week when Bezat Hashem we finish this Maisa. Bezat Hashem alavad that we should be zoicher not to pretend that someone else is the problem. Neither my wife, nor my children, not my neighbors, or anybody else. If I don't see my part in it, it only means that I haven't looked deeply enough. I haven't spoken about it to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Especially if the disagreement or the altercation or the conflict makes me upset, makes me mad. If it makes me mad, it means that there's something in me that I'm not confronting, and I'm saying it to psychologists, it's ridiculous. You should know this much better than I do. That there are certain feelings I'm not willing to look at, certain reality I'm not willing to look at. What is it? Shazbach will give us, V'zat Hashem, B'koyach of the Tzaddik, V'zat Hashem, Sfiyas Ha'omer, Hashem Bayochai, Moshe Rabbeinu, Torah Kedosho, the zchus to be able to look into ourselves and to be honest and face the facts and face the music. And once this is done, Hashem will have Geula Shleima B'Habi Yaminu Amen. As we will see with Hashem next week. Shkoyach Gadol B'zat Hashem.